Do you enjoy loot explosions and having fun while farming currency in Path of Exile? Then stick around, because this map ended up being quite crazy. So crazy, in fact, that I now need to update my loot filter post-haste. But yes, we'll talk about the Atlas tree, because that has been changed quite significantly. We'll talk about the Scarabs, because I think I've got them locked in. And we'll talk about how to run the map, because that too has changed a little bit. But first things first, welcome back my broke bridges. It's time to get over it. The name is Wolf, and this is the official update to my currency strategy that I recently posted. Now, before I explain how to run the map, I must first answer the question regarding the Exiles. A lot of people have been wondering why their resummoned Exiles are not dropping loot and mine are. Now, this has to do with the fact that Ritual kind of loot locks mobs that have been resummoned as to avoid benefiting too much from their continuous loot drops. Exiles, however, currently have a bit of a workaround on that. If we turn a regular Exile into a giant Exile, this Matrushka doll, this nesting doll, we can actually resummon these giant Exiles and then defeat them to summon another Exile. This resummon, this child from its parent, basically, when defeated, is not loot locked because it was not summoned by the ritual. It was summoned by the Matrushka doll, right? So it's not loot locked. We are eligible to receive its goodies, and when we defeat it, it will drop all the goodness. So in a perfect world, what we're looking for is rituals with giant exiles in its influence radius. So what you want to do is when you start the map is you want to rush to the end, but as you are rushing to the end, you want to check the rituals. And when you do see exiles, giant exiles, specifically giant exiles in the influence radius of the ritual, you want to do that ritual first. Because if you do that ritual first, it locks in that giant for all the other rituals you do after, giving you this wonderful loot cascading explosive effect for maximum profit. But do expect some variance. After all, we do not control the spawn points of the exiles, and if they turn to giants, nor do we control the spawn point of ritual, right? We do try to turn those odds in our favor with scarabs, but it is still RNG at the end. However, what is not RNG is the guaranteed blight on the map with a bunch of unique monsters. We have the Eldritch Altars giving us goodies. Of course, the Glacier map itself has a bunch of unique monsters at the very end, which is unique to Glacier. However, there are other maps with multiple unique bosses, like a city square. However, Glacier is definitely by far the best way to do it. And then, of course, we also have some fun interactions with the League mechanic, may it be Bismuth or the Crimson one, because that also for some reason responds well to the actual treasure scarab. Having that said though, there is so much loot, fractures, synth, catalysts, scarabs, natural drops, invitations to the King of the Mist or King in the Mist, which sell for really good. Perfect particular specters used to sell for quite a bit. There is so much loot everywhere constantly that if you run this map successfully a couple of times, and you do need a pretty decent character for it, so do be wary of that, I can almost guarantee you that you get something worth selling. Honestly, I consider myself to be an incredibly unlucky person, and I have not had a very long dry spell, which is impressive and delightful. But yes, having that said though, let me talk about the map device and what you need to actually run this map, and then we'll go into the Atlas tree. So the map device is pretty straightforward. You have your map of choice. I strongly recommend Glacier. You can go 8 mod if you want. I would recommend keeping an eye out on the difficulty, because Exiles can be quite brutal if your build is not ready for it. So be considerate of that. On top of that, we are using not 1 but 2 Scarabs of Gigantification. This is mandatory for us to get the max amount of chance for these rogue Exile giants. On top of that, we are not using 1 but 2 Treasure Scarabs for those rewards. If that's too much toughness, you can cut 1 for a second Anarchy. Otherwise, 1 Anarchy is really, really nice to get those numbers up for those rogue exiles. Speaking of getting the number up, we are also using the Mapcraft for additional rogue exiles, and then we are finishing it off with our altar of choice, which happens to be Searing Exarch for our current Atlas tree. Now, the Atlas tree may seem a little weird to some people because we are not speccing for 100% Blight chance or 100% Ritual chance. Yet we do have 100% Blight and Ritual chance. For those who do not know, Blight and Ritual fall under the section of extra content, which means that they typically have an 8% base chance. So if you take that base chance, combine it with the actual chance you do want to pick up with things like Sacred Lands or Fungal Bloom, as well as the benefits of blocking, you can read the tooltip right there, you end up reaching 100% without needing to spec nodes that are out of the way, like this small ritual chance node here, saving me 3 points that even if I had spec'd it, wouldn't have done anything. So that's very, very nice. However, in terms of our actual strat though, we are picking up every single rogue exile wheel in its entirety. So make sure to pick up all of that good stuff. We are also picking up all the generic scarab nodes like skittering swarms, significant trove. We're also picking up amplified artifacts as well as remarkable relics. We do drop a lot of scarabs, and this allows us to just get more of them and better versions of them. We are picking up a little bit of juice with mounting modifiers. Speaking of juice, we do have some ghost. We have the paranormal meetings, the unrelenting torment right here, and in the middle we of course got seance, very, very good. On top of that, we have blight indeed, which allows us to actually get the blight in its entirety, but also force the one lane of blight encounter in your maps is guarded only by blight bosses, which, as discussed, triggers the scarab for treasures, which is very, very powerful. On top of that, we do want to take some value from ritual by re-rolling, as well as making sure we can re-roll and defer and be able to afford all of that, and making sure that we always have 4 rituals with a better chance of unique or special rewards, as you can see. We are also picking up the red altar, which has to do with the fact that the right altar is just too expensive point-wise, and the left altar is not bad if you enjoy just raw chaos drops, and if you have a mage blood, it's even better because then you don't have to worry about that meteor ruining your day. But otherwise, yeah, it is still the best way to go. We're also picking up the Light of Dawn and maximizing the pack size with the points we have left over. Other than that, it speaks pretty much for itself. We have the wheel right here for a little bit of quantity, and that is pretty much how it goes. It's a far more optimized tree that lends itself to far more currency, and it is kind of straightforward as you understand, or if you understand the strategy as it works. So thank you all so much for watching. Hope this inspired you. Go forth, enjoy, and I will see you in Rayclast. Have a good night, take care, and I am out.